Okay, upon further inspection, we have made another decision and come to this crossroads here, but I think we're going to go ahead and do this. My original thought was to upgrade the entire AC system for like a vintage air unit or a classic auto air or something, which I've put in many old cars in the past, like a 55 Chevy and a 63 Comet and an old 36 Pontiac, and they work great. But this car seemed at first to be limited in being able to do that just because of this whole cowl system up here. So I got to thinking that's not going to work, so we're going to have to keep the original stuff. But upon further investigation, we're going to go ahead and replace this whole system with a classic auto air or vintage air and have the whole unit on the inside of the car. And I'm going to explain why I'm doing this. Not only that, but show you the difference between what's factory and how this other system works. So if you're interested in doing anything like this, definitely stick around because I'm going to go through the whole process. But what we're going to have to do is we got to retain this whole cowl system up here, which is part of the heater box. And that was my big dilemma. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do some fiberglass work. On that 63 Mercury Comet I did, I couldn't find a fan shroud that would actually work with what I was building. So I had to make an actual fan shroud out of fiberglass mat and resin, and it turned out really cool. It took a lot of time, but it worked out. And with that experience, looking back, this is totally possible here because this is all fiberglass. So what we're going to do is end up cutting this out and making this basically flat across here, which is going to clean up the engine compartment, get rid of all this crap, this whole section here. And in my opinion, every legitimate hot rod should have a cool looking engine compartment, and this just dogs it out. So we're doing it, we're going for it. And I've been watching a guy called Bad Chad lately. Dude's a beast as far as making cars and doing custom stuff. And I mean, talk about inspiration, but you check out that guy, it's pretty cool. But we're gonna go for it and do fiberglass work, do whatever we have to do to make this work up here, get rid of all this, plus retain the original cowl system on this car. So that should be pretty neat. And I'm not too worried about it. It's just work, work's work. But it'll be a much better system because there's a lot less to go wrong in the newer style systems than the old style. So we're gonna do that. And then if you come around here and look inside the car, which is another reason why I wanna do this, is not only do you have all that crap up front, but in here, this entire heater box and air system is taking up all this space in here. Plus you have all these controls. Back in the 80s, the vacuum was the way to go because they didn't figure out all the electronics they have now. So all these potential vacuum leak problems and stuff not working right, vacuum switches leaking, all this electrical go all the way up to the unit out there. I think we may retain these vents, and because those are bolted up in there nice, and they got the defrost and then the vent system, all that can stay. And then the unit that we'll put in will have the floor vents coming out also. So I think this is gonna be money. It's gonna simplify and get rid of any potential problems with all the original crap. And so stick around, we're definitely gonna get to this. And it should be interesting. But if you have any interest in doing this, I'm gonna explain the whole process. The hardest part's gonna be modifying the firewall. Everything else is just gonna go away, and we're gonna put a new unit in it and then put a nice custom control unit, which is gonna be all electric. Doesn't have all these vacuum lines and all this crap going on. So, should be interesting. Okay, checking this thing out. We got the entire HVAC system out of this car, and it's freaking amazing how big the hole is in this thing. I mean, look at that. Good Lord. Well, we go inside and we got all the vents out. It looks like there's room for 2 HVAC systems of a newer design, but actually there isn't. I mean, we're still limited in space in a few places, and we just got to figure it out. But we got about 11 max inches from the glove box, which comes in right here, all the way to the fender well, and we have about maybe 11 max, I'm gonna say 10 from the top, the highest we can go, all the way down to the bottom. I do not want to cut this car apart. I just want to modify what we're working with here, so I don't cut the body apart or do any crazy stuff like that. If I have to, I will, but I'm not looking to do that. Put the fender well in just to check, see where I'm at. And it's basically right where it's going to be bolted. So basically this is just a mock-up, and I'm not going to cut anything until I know for sure that I can make this work. So that's where we're at. Pretty crazy. Amazing how much room is there, but how little room is there. Well, we're going to do this. Okay, we got our top heater box in, which includes the whole cowl system here, so that's got to stay. I don't see that making out of anything but what's there. So we got our rooftop, and we have our basement down here. Still just mocking it up, figuring it out, seeing what can work, what can't. But one thing that reminds me, I was doing a side job with my brother back in the day, and he said we were trying to figure out something to do with a certain project we were doing, and couldn't come up with an answer, and we were kind of scratching our heads together, and he looked at me and he said, anything is possible. And from that day forward, I've taken that mentality into all these projects I've done. And this is a very good example of anything is possible. We just got to make it work. And how much time do you want to put into it? But it's totally worth it. Just got to make it happen. So for that, I thank my brother and my dad for that matter, because he's the one that started it all, and he's got the same mentality. I've seen him do it many, many times myself, so it's all good. But that's what we're looking at. Just mocking things up, figuring out how it's going to work, not how it's not going to work. Good shit.